As Social Mobility Partner sponsor, I'm passionate about ensuring that someone's background should not be a barrier to progressing both in their life and in their chosen career. To talk about social mobility, I'm joined by our colleagues Sebastian, Vanessa and Mark. Can each of you tell us a little bit about yourself and your career journey to date? Let's start with you, Mark.
Hi Gurge, thanks for having me. I was first from my family to go to university, and also I suppose at that time really felt like law might not be something that I could access, but actually after I got my degree I sort of felt that maybe it was something I could access.
And you, Vanessa?
So I progressed through the local state school system, and I'm the first in my family to have ever gone to university. And I studied law at the University of Sheffield. I secured a training contract, but then I qualified into the London office where I remained until I joined Eversheds in 2011.
And finally, Sebastian.
I was born and raised in the suburbs of Paris, a city called Clichy-sous-Bois, which is probably one of the poorest cities in France, located in a famous department called the 9-3. And this is the place where the national riot started in 2005 in France.
So turning to each of you, how has your socio-economic background impacted your professional opportunities or relationships? And in what ways? Vanessa, let's start with you.
What became apparent to me was that I'm working pensions, and lots of my clients are lay trusted clients with backgrounds more similar to me than the colleagues with who I worked with. So I was able to use that to my advantage.
Thank you. And you, Mark?
Once I got into the profession, I realised that there were lots of people like me. In truth, there were lots of people who were the first person in their families to go to university, first people to have gone into a profession, if you like. And so I think I've formed really quite close relationships with people. So if anything, it's been beneficial to me to have a slightly different background.
And finally, Sebastian, if I can come to you, please.
So knowledge is just a commodity now, but the way you deliver knowledge, the way you listen to people, the way you interact with people is what could really make a difference. And this I learned, it's not the only way to learn about it, but this I learned precisely because of my journey.
Are there any particular mentors or role models who have guided you through your career? And if so, how did they impact your journey? Sebastian, let's start with you if we may.
People who actually helped me to do this, I would say my family first and foremost. It took me some time to realize it, but things you see from your parents, your grandparents are quite decisive in the way you approach difficulty. Hard work, resilience, courage, things that are critical to be able to move on and to learn from your mistakes and to go back at it and try to push again.
And finally, Vanessa, let's hear from you.
I had a really, really, really great coach who really took the time to help me recognise as exceptional some of the things that I do on a day-to-day basis that I kind of too easily dismiss as business as usual.
Looking back, is there anything you would have done differently in your career or education, given your background? What might you tell your younger self?
I think I would say to my younger self, go find a mentor with a similar background, because that's what really gave me the confidence to knock on certain doors sooner than I did.
And Mark, your thoughts?
I would tell my younger self to be more confident when I was younger and sort of recognise my strengths as well as my weaknesses.
We already have a number of great initiatives and partnerships in place, such as the Unlocked programme, which help us widen our talent pools and attract diverse talent. How do you think the legal profession can become more accessible to people from diverse socio-economic backgrounds? Let's hear from you, Mark.
I think the main thing really for me is role modelling. Certainly when I first started and when I thought that law might not be for me, it was partially because I didn't really know anybody that was in law. And it just happened to be that I had a football coach who was a barrister who gave me some work experience. And I think from that point onwards, I sort of realized that actually lawyers were just like me, and that actually it would be absolutely fine for me to enter into the profession. So I think role modeling is a big thing, actually.
What advice would you give to aspiring lawyers who come from those lower socio-economic backgrounds we're identifying?
I think I'd probably say to any aspiring lawyer from whatever background they are, it is actually one of those professions where it's a profession really, first and foremost, built on hard work. And so if you are prepared to put the work in, and if you can sort of demonstrate resilience, intelligence, and integrity, then I think if you can add people skills to that as well, which I think we are obviously a people business, and I think relationships are important in this business, as they are in many businesses.
Great. And finally, Vanessa.
I started looking sort of more closely at the colleagues around me, beginning to notice how I was different, wondering if that made me less of a lawyer. Most of my colleagues were private, public school educated. I was the only one that had come through the state school system. But there were lots of other things, like some that seem really quite silly now when I look back, that things like political views, family values were very, very, very different. They all read broadsheets. I read a tabloid. I was mocked for reading a tabloid. I'm a big football fan, whereas everybody else was cricket and rugby. And, I could go on. But on the positive side, what became apparent to me was that I was actually really good at building rapport with my clients. It's that ability to build and maintain those strong relationships that's really formed the bedrock of my business case for promotion.
What would you say to someone who doesn't identify as being from a lower socio-economic background and wants to help make a positive difference in the workplace?
Where I am now in my life looks very, very different to where I came from. But I think that can only inspire our future generations. So I'm choosing to own it and to share my experiences, and I would encourage others to do the same, because that can only inspire.
Thank you. Mark?
The more that we can get everyone to recognise that we're a much stronger team, to have people from lots of different diverse backgrounds, I think all the better. I think that's what clients want. They're from various different backgrounds, just the same as us.
And Sebastian, your advice?
When you have to deal with people that are different around you, it's not only about the color of your skin, it's not only about the money you have when you're a kid, it's just a matter of point of view. Welcome diversity. And because there is diversity, there is richness. It belongs to the leader or the leaders to indeed drive the team and make a decision at some point.
So if I may thank you all again, Sebastian, Mark and Vanessa, for sharing your thoughts and experiences with us. Together, we can all help to make a difference. I encourage you to join me in sharing our experiences, listening to others, and help provide career development opportunities for all.